Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Bold and beautiful Brooke just threw Carter and Hope under the bus driven by Ridge, but what happens next? Last week, Bold and Beautiful revealed Carter's plan to basically steal Forrester out from under Ridge and Steffi. It was a thrilling moment that capped off a rather tedious week. As a result, I was left excited to see what would happen next, apparently forgetting that on this show, the next phase of the plot would be talking it to death, leaving me to issue unanswered prayers that a second storyline be folded into the mix. There were a few highlights, but they were few and far between. I fall more in love with Jacqueline MacInnes Wood's performance every week. She is stuck with the unenviable task of making Steffi's words make sense, even as the character insists that firing Hope wasn't personal, it was because Hope threw herself at Finn, which, makes it entirely personal. But even as Steffi is unironically insisting that Hope's a bitch, her words, not mine, you can tell that Wood is having a great time. When actors are having fun, so am I, or at least as much fun as I can have when the show is treading water. Steffi was named after her late grandmother, the indomitable Stephanie Forrester, and Wood fully embodied that legacy this week. Like Stephanie, her namesake wasn't in the mood to hear anything positive about the Logans in general or Hope in particular. For years, the show has positioned Hope and Steffi's rivalry as basically a reincarnation of the Brooke-Taylor feud. But in the current story, it's much more a flashback to the animosity Stephanie spent years curating toward Brooke, and man, am I here for it. Who knew that Hope would be playing the role of Lady Macbeth, basically manipulating Carter into doing her bidding? Sure, Carter seems to think this whole takeover attempt is his idea, but let us not forget one very important fact: only a few weeks ago, he totally agreed with Steffi and Ridge that Hope's line was going down faster than an express elevator. Now look, I'm no lawyer, but I find it hard to believe that Carter's plan to grab control of Forrester Creations would actually work. At the very least, it seems likely that he'd wind up being sued for fraud or some such thing. Meanwhile, he and several others have spent a lot of time talking about how the fashion industry at large and Forrester's client base in particular would react to the shock of Hope being so publicly excommunicated. If that's the case, how, exactly, would news that the company's coup staged a hostile takeover go down? I still think this story would have been more interesting had Hope and Carter said, "Screw this place, we're outta here," and started a competing fashion house, perhaps with the backing of Bill. You'll never hear anyone on this show tell a knock-knock joke, because none of them know what knocking is. They just barge into one another's homes and offices at all hours of the night and day. Had Brooke knocked rather than letting herself into Hope's cabin, she'd never have been able to listen in on her and Carter's talk of a coup. Thank goodness they didn't speak in generic terms but instead explained every detail, right down to Hope saying their move would put you, Carter Walton, in charge. You know, just in case Carter wasn't aware of his name or how this plan would work. Again, I really like the idea of this story, but the execution has been dreadful due to pacing. Every single day, the writers act as if they are dealing with an audience of goldfish, with their notoriously short attention spans. It's one annoying thing to repeat dialogue every day, but on Thursday, we watched Ridge and Steffi sign the LLC paperwork and then, moments later, listened as Carter explained everything that had gone down to Hope. You can't create suspense or even good drama when all you doing is telling us what we literally, just, saw. If there's one thing that surprised me, it's that Brooke immediately went to Ridge with the truth. But again, that's in keeping with this show's pacing problem. Nothing happens all week, and then on Friday, boom. I'm shocked that Brooke seems not to have even considered the consequences of her actions, especially where Hope is concerned. I would have expected her to at least give her daughter a chance to explain before running off to her destiny. So much for Team Logan loyalty, right? Stalker alert! Speaking of Friday, we also jump-started the Elektra story. After 2 weeks of her dropping cryptic clues about something which happened in the past, she crossed paths with Remy. Up until now, I've assumed that Remy, whom we know to be seemingly obsessed with Elektra, was the person who drove her to this new life in LA. So I was definitely surprised by how cheerfully she greeted him. While it still seems likely that Remy is responsible for whatever bad thing happened in the past, it's looking as if perhaps Ivy's niece packed up and moved before uncovering the identity of her presumed stalker. That's my guess, and I'm sticking to it, although I'll be interested to hear what y'all think. Where is this story headed, and how adorable are Will and Elektra? How wildly hypocritical was it of Taylor to question Hope's mental health and her unhealthy choices? Taylor, have you heard yourself talking about Ridge? Have you even attempted to move on? Why are you constantly hanging out at Forrester Creations and offering your input on the business you don't work at? Perhaps she should take Ridge up on his week-ending offer to get her a job and a parking space at Forrester. Add the words international luxury brand to our patented soap opera drinking game. Every time the phrase is uttered, chug. Everybody's expressed a lot of concern about Zend, what with the HFTF line being shut down. But where's the worry for RJ? Heck, they've pretty much ignored the fact that his girlfriend was a serial killer, playing zero fallout from that. Bold and beautiful Brooke just threw Carter and Hope under the bus driven by Ridge, but what happens next? The drama on the Bold and the Beautiful has reached a boiling point once again. In a move that has left fans gasping and scrambling for the next episode, Brooke Logan, always the picture of emotional complexity, has thrown both Carter Walton and Hope Logan under the bus. But this time, it's not just another romantic misstep, it's a calculated gamble that will have repercussions echoing through the halls of Forrester Creations, Ridge Forrester's heart, and the very foundation of Brooke's own family. The scene of the crime, Brooke's betrayal. It all started innocuously enough. Hope had asked her mother for guidance, leaning on Brooke's wisdom about her complicated feelings toward Thomas. As the Forrester family drama unfolded, with Hope caught in a tangled web between her deep-rooted desires for family unity and the looming presence of Thomas, it seemed that Brooke would be the supportive mother, ready to offer love and advice. But then Brooke, always the protector of Ridge's heart, did the unexpected. In the heat of the moment, faced with a simmering tension that was only magnified by Ridge's own ambivalence toward Hope's relationship with Thomas, Brooke chose to sever her ties with the situation in the most ruthless way possible. Without warning, she threw Carter and Hope under the proverbial bus, implicating them in a web of secrets and decisions that would shake their world to its core. Ridge's reaction, a heart torn in two. Brooke's decision wasn't a fluke. It was a deliberate move driven by her loyalty to Ridge. After all, Ridge had always been her first love, the man she had fought for through thick and thin. With Thomas Forrester's ongoing manipulation of Hope and her daughter's fragile emotional state, Brooke saw an opportunity to protect Ridge by distancing him from the messiness of Hope's ongoing conflict with Thomas. In that moment, Ridge's heart, already bruised by the ongoing tension in his marriage, was forced to confront a painful truth. His wife, in an effort to shield him from the turmoil, was willing to sacrifice both Carter and Hope for the sake of maintaining peace in their fractured family. Ridge's first reaction was, of course, one of betrayal and anger. He couldn't understand why Brooke would use his fractured relationship with Hope as a pawn in her game. What would Ridge do next? Would he stand by his wife's side, believing that Brooke's actions were done with the best of intentions, or would he feel the cold sting of Brooke's betrayal, realizing that his wife was willing to throw even their own family members under the bus to protect him from emotional pain? Carter's crisis, a man caught in the crossfire. Carter Walton, always the steadfast professional, found himself caught in the crossfire of Brooke's ruthless maneuvering. As the coup of Forrester creations in a man whose heart had recently been torn between his feelings for Quinn and his unresolved emotions for Katie, Carter was no stranger to complicated emotions. However, this was different. Brooke's actions would force Carter to reassess not only his role within the Forrester family but his relationship with both Brooke and Hope. Carter had always maintained a quiet loyalty to the Forresters, but with Brooke's cold move, he now found himself questioning just how far he was willing to go to stay in her good graces. For Carter, this was a pivotal moment. Would he seek retribution for being cast aside like a pawn in Brooke's strategic game, or would he recognize that Brooke's betrayal was driven by her own sense of duty to Ridge? Would he challenge Brooke's authority, perhaps even confronting Ridge about his wife's decision, or would he find himself retreating further into the shadows, quietly accepting his fate? The real question for Carter, however, might lie in his next romantic move. If Hope was thrust into the center of this family chaos, how would that impact his feelings toward her? Was this betrayal a catalyst for new feelings to emerge, or would Carter distance himself from Hope, realizing that he was better off protecting his own heart from the Logan drama? Hope's reckoning, the daughter caught in the crossfire. Hope Logan, ever the idealist, had always sought a sense of peace and harmony in the midst of Forrester's endless soap opera. She wanted to believe in love, in family, and in the possibility of a future where the scars of the past could be healed. But when her mother threw her under the bus, Hope's world was shattered. For years, Hope had dealt with the overwhelming pressure of being a Forrester, and now, faced with a double betrayal, one from her mother and one from Thomas, Hope found herself at a crossroads. Her heart was already tangled up in her troubled relationship with Thomas, and Brooke's betrayal only made things worse. The question now was, would Hope fight back? Would she stand up for herself, challenging her mother's authority and decisions, even if it meant distancing herself from the family she had fought so hard to keep together? Or would she silently retreat into her shell, accepting that her mother's actions, though painful, were a product of Brooke's unshakable loyalty to Ridge? Hope's next steps would be crucial not only to her relationship with her mother but to her future within the Forrester family dynamic. She was no longer just the hopeful daughter, she was a woman on the verge of a major decision. Ridge's dilemma, the man in the middle. At the heart of this family crisis is Ridge Forrester, the man who has always been a pillar of strength and stoic resolve. But with his own emotional turmoil surrounding his marriage to Brooke and the complex dynamics between his children, Ridge now faces a dilemma. His wife's betrayal of both Hope and Carter forces him to reckon with his loyalties in a new way. The question becomes, how far will Ridge go to protect his wife and his family, even when he knows that Brooke's decision has caused irreparable damage? Will Ridge try to repair the broken relationships in his family, or will he side with Brooke, choosing to protect their marriage at the expense of his children and their well-being? His next move could decide not only his future with Brooke but also his relationship with Hope, a daughter he has always loved but never fully understood. What happens next? The aftermath of Brooke's decision is poised to shake the very foundation of the Forrester family. With Carter and Hope caught in the fallout, their lives are now inextricably linked to Ridge and Brooke's choices. What happens next is anyone's guess. Will Carter, perhaps driven by his own feelings of betrayal, strike out on his own, possibly leaving Forrester creations behind? Could he find solace in Hope's arms, rekindling a romance that has long been on the back burner? Will Ridge and Brooke's marriage survive this latest betrayal, or will the cracks in their relationship finally prove too deep to mend? As Hope navigates the fallout from her mother's actions, will she choose to rebuild her relationship with Thomas, or will this new chaos push her into the arms of another man, perhaps even Carter? Whatever the future holds, one thing is certain, the Logan Forrester drama has just reached new heights, and the next chapter promises even more twists, turns, and emotional confrontations. One thing is for sure, no one is safe from the fallout of Brooke's latest calculated move. The future is uncertain, and the stage is set for a dramatic, high-stakes showdown that will keep viewers on the edge of their seats.